Welcome, all you Plus 2 comedy modifiers, to another episode of the Plus 2 Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, as always, TV's Noah Houlihan, and I got nothing to plug this week, so take it away.
Hello. That's not how the show.
start.
That's not how the show starts. I am thrown off.
That's the first time I think you've ever messed that up.
Yeah, episode 209 messed it up.
We're canceled now.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All
Night.
right, let's try this again.
It's a done
Who's
deal.
ready for a podcast? I asked as I watched our crowd take a drink of water. Who's here to do other things? Is currently being annoyed by a podcast? And who was dragged here by their father?
Hands raised.
This is the Plus 2 Comedy Podcast coming to you live from Gamers Vault. That's 175 Route 70 in Medford, New Jersey. I'm your host, as always, TV's Noah Houlihan, and I'm joined by the umbrage to my Lupin, Mr. Will Liam. How you doing, Will?
That is way wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't think of any other
You
dark
know Harry Potter stuff.
I know, I just went with two dark arts teachers that came up as quickly as possible in the old
like
brain
a-
Rolodex.
Lupin. I'm trying to think of which Marauders we'd be.
Our guest this week is the author of the new book Hispanicus. Is it new, actually? Or how long has it been?
First
out?
one, it's a series, so the first one was released August 1st. So the second one should be coming out hopefully mid-February.
Okay, cool. And the author of the series Hispanic. Please give it up for Eddie C. Eddie told me I didn't have to say his last name because I kept messing it up. So.
Cisneros.
Cisneros.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's just I can't get my mouth to say it. I don't know why. So Eddie.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you see, it's pretty good. Cassandra, yeah.
So Eddie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
College.
Thank you
Well, I'm
so
gonna
much for
mock our
coming on the show. Yeah, stop mocking the audience. Start mocking our guest. The guest is here to talk to us at least. So I want to be honest. You sent me the title of the book,
Don't tell him this story.
and I was like, "Oh, it's Greek.
No,
Hispanicus. He's going to be like a warrior." And then I did research. I was like, "No, it's clearly not that." So tell us about the book.
Basically, it's a fictional story about a drug dealer from the Bronx who, as an adult, he's retelling his life story, but he kind of embarks on this journey of like penance, if you will, because he wants to try and make certain things right. But unfortunately, he feels like something bad's about to happen to him. But it's a very long, stretched out series with a lot of stuff going on. So,
Can you move your mic a little bit closer to you?
sure.
Cool. I just don't want them to miss out on
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And this is a spin-off of Hispanic?
Well, no. I mean, I actually was originally published a while back, and the title was His-Panic.
Right.
So when I landed another publisher, they kind of, I guess, wanted to just change the whole title.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I
okay.
guess it just the Hispanicus gives it a little more, I guess, oomph.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. So this is realistic fiction, I would say.
Fiction, yes. I mean, a lot of people have asked me whether or not if this is based on anything, and I tell them obviously it's my creativity and my imagination to try and bring forth the story. But yeah, growing up, I knew a bunch of people, friends, unfortunately people I still know, and so you kind of take little bits of that kind of stuff, and it helps to make a story,
That was the nicest way I've ever been told. Please don't ask any more questions about this.
How Thundercats heavy is it?
You know what? There's just this one segment because
'Cause I got excited when you mentioned it. I was like, I bet it's not as much as I want it to be.
no, there's a chapter. I mean, in the book, what happened was the group of friends. This kid is he's forced basically to become like this drug dealer from a stepfather who kind of teaches him how to separate marijuana and stuff like that. Like at 5 years old.
Backstory, sir.
Well,
Explain it to me.
but basically they embody this. They embody the characters of a cartoon show that they really enjoyed watching. I mean, that's like their only little group that basically hold on to like being kids. So originally I did use heavy Thundercats and Lino, and so I had to make like my own spin-off on that, and it became a cartoon called the Strike Food Canines.
Ooh,
Okay,
I like
that sounds
a
good.
lot.
Which it kind of like the same mold. It's a bunch of these warriors who
It sounds like a cartoon from that time.
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
fit in
Well,
there perfectly with like Samurai Pizza
yeah,
Cats.
basically they have to get these amulets, and each of the character goes through this portal and grabbing onto these amulets. They take the embodiment of a Shar-Pei, a Pug, which are like all these Japanese type obscure warrior kind of dogs. And
Okay.
Pug
so,
is not a warrior.
well, definitely not. But he was
They're
more
bad
on
at
the
breathing.
terms of like Wile E. Kid and Wile E. Cat. So so that's I kind of had to like make up my own backstory with that, just in case that someone from Thundercat Land says, "Hey, yeah, this is not good."
And this is, of course, the first book of a series, and I believe you're the first author that we've had on that is doing a series. So, how much of it is already like planned out in your mind?
I originally wrote them in it's 4 books, but when I gave them to my publishers, they were like they were too lengthy. I mean, each book clocks in at more than like 700 plus pages, so they broke them down into 2. So you would say 8 books, and I've pretty much finished right now 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, and you know where you're going with everything.
Definitely, I know the ending. I know everything. So it's hard, trying to speak about it to not divulge too much information.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You got to keep it a little bit hush hush. I understand. But like I said, you're the first person we had on that's doing a series. Like, what would you say your relationship with like the main character is that you wanted to create this longer form story for them?
Doing interviews and stuff. I mean, as a writer, you get attached to your characters, and as much as I try and flesh them out, I mean, they become a part of your life, because that's all when I'm obviously doing interviews and writing, that's all you envision. And so I kind of like maybe inject some stuff that I will go through, or if I'm doing like some kind of dialogue, I try and make it as real as possible. But again, you do get attached to these characters, and so I guess when the book and everything comes to a closure, there is some kind of like, to let go. It's going to be kind of hard, because I've been writing this for several years. So, but it is what it is, and you got to move on. But you do get attached.
Right. How long did the first book take you?
Again, I've been writing this for several years. So I was published once. It was with when some company remained nameless, and I was just on their shelf for like 2 years. I remember just getting a call from the owner one day, and he put this analogy as far as like, you're a bench player on a basketball team, and now you're about to get a chance. So I'm like, I got excited, and I never got to touch the ball. So it was like, so I left them. I found another company, and I was cool with that company. But again, it not to knock anyone, again, nameless, but that person, the publisher, was also an author. So I kind of got a little peeved when I hear that person doing interviews, and they basically never really spoke about their other authors.
Gotcha.
I kind of moved on, and this is a span of several years until I found this publisher now, Print House Books, and I'm happy right now so far. They're doing what they can, but on my own, it's a hustle. I got to keep on pushing myself. I mean, I drove out here today like 2-something hours to get out here. So
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we got to do what we got to do.
Well, thank you so much for making the drive out here. I'm sorry it was so long. And I'm interested because a lot of our authors that we have on here are independently published, so it's interesting to hear the publication process.
Nice.
Not the word I wanted to say, but the problems of dealing with a publisher and the struggles along that. Because I've had a lot of people on this show say, if I could just find a publisher, then I'd be made in the shade.
It's funny because that's what people think. I mean, again, this is an independent publisher, but I feel more comfortable. But I used to do music back in the days. I had it in my head I was gonna be this big time rapper. But you learn hard that artists get paid last. So
Yes, indeed.
So
Yes,
you could be
indeed.
doing a show and a producer this, and it's like, here's $20. Go get some Burger King. Relax. It's like
$20.
Yeah,
Well, we're in the wrong business. He's getting $20. Yeah, we've been having this debate recently where it's like, it's tough being in a business where there's 8 people that'll do it for free, but not as well. But like they'll do it for free. It's like, free is better than paying that skilled person. So yeah, it's tough.
I mean, if I could get a less good, like a 20% less good plumber for free,
Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably take
I'd
that.
probably
too.
take it. Yeah.
all the pipes just taped with like
Yeah, it's mostly
plumbing tape.
Will
It's
this
good.
hold before
It's
I like?
working.
Yeah. Will this hold till I move out?
Oh, I have no
Perfect.
idea.
That's it.
If it doesn't, will you come back and fix it for free again? Awesome. What a great relationship.
Just YouTube it. I mean,
Exactly.
step by step.
I just picture him just watching the YouTube video under my sink. Oh, that's not reassuring.
Don't unpause that. I'm not up to the next step. It's a whole issue. So, do you have any ideas what you're looking at doing after this, or is this just your focus? Or
I do have some ideas. I mean, apart from trying to push the book, I do work as a doorman in the city. So I've been taking like these classes to become like certified as a superintendent, and I had this wild idea because I've taken away from writing the book. I've taken away from screenwriting. And I just have this idea of like just a plain Jane Joe Schmo superintendent who has to defend his building. So call it like a Home Alone meets Die Hard.
Ooh,
Yeah, I would love to
like.
Die Hard. That is a great like elevator pitch.
Yeah, basically, he's trying to protect his
Batman.
He's trying to protect his building, but it's not because backstory. He used to be an ex-CIA. It's just a regular guy who knows how to do plumbing and put some tape together and stuff, and so.
Well, one of my favorite stories is, do you know how the movie Speed got greenlit?
Somewhat. I'm not really.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like a chance meeting in an elevator. He's like, "I have an idea for a movie," and they said, "What is it?" And he said, "Die Hard on a Bus." And they were like, "Oh, well, that's awesome." And that was it. That's all he needed. So, Die Hard meets Home Alone is a great description of a film.
That's what you hope. That's what you kind of hope.
I am totally down for seeing that. So, have you done screenwriting before, or?
A couple of stuff. I mean, I wrote 2 screenplays, which was detective stories, basically about two homicide detectives on a trail of a serial killer, and then it's sequel, Bend 2. So it's Bend and Bend 2.
You're a serious guy.
Yeah, that's it.
And I was reading your bio, and I liked the opening line to it, which was, "I'm a doorman first and an author always."
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought that was a really good line. So we have a lot of listeners that are like interested in getting into this world. What would you suggest to them to for advice into becoming a writer?
You know what I mean. If it's a passion, I mean, I've gone through countless rejections, and believe me, I mean, it's a process between writing, then you rewrite, you want to change things, and then when you actually finally have that final product, that's over with, and now it's the pushing, and you send out countless queries. I mean, I reached out to like Penguin and to Random House, and unfortunately, because of the subject material, because the book it's pretty gritty, it's pretty raw. So I mean, I guess they were looking for like a wizard with glasses or something. That's
I've heard good things about those books. You shall not be named.
But you go through the countless, like I said, you go through the countless rejections. But I mean, again, if it's something that you're passionate about, and regardless of whether it's writing, whatever you do, I mean, whatever door closes on you, there's got to be somewhere else where you can step through, and you just got to keep on pushing and just keep moving forward, man.
I really liked your doorman reference.
There you go. You see that? Yeah. Always trying to inject that every once in a while,
He's like a writer or something. He's a poet. He's way with words. And I found it interesting that you were inspired by Thundercat. And, we're a nerd podcast. Is there any other like nerd culture things that inspired your work?
Like I said, I mean, just growing up. I mean, I'm from the old school. I'm in my mid-40s, so I've been through all that stuff. Like I said, I come from like the original Atari and Commodore 64, 128, Dreamcast, Genesis. I mean, I've been through them all. So I mean, it's just that nostalgic feeling, I guess, like growing up with a bunch of friends. And I mean, back then, we didn't really have like the multimedia, the social media, the phones, and everything. So it was one of those where I end up at Will's house, wait until he gets dressed, and then it's like, all right, half hour, and then let's go to Noah's house. And then from there, as the day goes on, it's around like 5 PM, and you got like 7 guys together, and that's how the night went,
Gotcha. Well, why are you always naked when Eddie's at your house?
No.
Why do you always got to wait for you to get dressed?
My parents were like, why are you friends with a 40-year-old man?
I also like that we live in an age where people don't get old anymore, they get old school.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of that.
No, listen, I like the fact that like what's old is new now again.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah, it's retro.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Retro now.
That's the right word to use. Yeah, exactly.
So we like to geek out on this show, and we do that with a segment called "What You Watching, What You Reading, What You Playing." It's what we talk about, what we're watching, what we're reading, and what we're playing. Eddie, since you're new to the group, what have you been watching? Watching anything good?
I'm a big Shameless guy, so I just finished watching Shameless. I'm definitely into Stranger Things.
Oh, Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's
great.
just awesome. It's a great series. try to tell my son to watch and he refuses.
Oh, you're wrong.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, you need to watch Stranger Things. It's one of the best shows on television.
How old is your son?
19.
Yeah, I don't
What
think
are you
Stranger
doing?
Things means anything to him.
Oh, it's
It's
Well,
all
again,
like
it's
80s
very-
references.
Well, see,
and
that's
like,
why,
I love
you know.
this, and he's like, I don't. Why?
Yeah.
This is all terrible.
yeah. It's from the 80s, so all these people are dead by now, right? Clearly they're dead. But yeah, I just finished season 2 myself, and I was so upset it was only 9 episodes.
Sure,
I was like, come on.
But to me, it's very nostalgic because, and even though in my book, it spans through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So again, watching that kind of stuff, it's pretty cool to watch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And they do it they do a good job of really taking care of that time period.
I think from the music, from just even the setting. I mean, it's very old school, E.T.-ish and back, those kind of movies and the references, even the video games. Season 2, this guy's playing Dragon's Lair, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to watch,
Because we're past the time where an 80s movie is always just done for laughs, like the Wedding Singer times where it's just kind of look how small my cell phone is. Now we can just take a real look at the 80s again, and oh god, I just love that show. Sorry, I had to gush about how much I loved Eddie's choice. And Shameless is something I've been meaning to get into.
It's going on. I think about 8 seasons now.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was over. I was surprised to hear it was coming back for another season.
I think the main actress, Rosam, Emmy. I think she held out because she wanted to get paid more money. So, but if you watch the series, and apart from William H. Macy, I mean, she's like a main character. So I guess women to do it. I guess they had to get paid more money or about the same.
Get paid equally. How about that?
Might as well.
What a concept. Not the 80s anymore. How about you, Will? You watch anything good?
So HBO did a movie dump recently.
Yes, they did.
And I watched that King Arthur movie, the Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie.
Yes.
Excalibur. I don't know what it's called. It's
you know what?
King Arthur, Legend of the Sword?
I feel like I've only heard it referred to as Guy Ritchie's King Arthur movie.
That's fine. That's all it needs to be called.
Do you know what we're talking about, Eddie?
I haven't watched it. I mean, I'm definitely familiar with Guy Ritchie, but yeah.
It's straight. It's one of the most Guy Ritchie things.
Yeah.
It's Snatch if Snatch took place in
the medieval times.
1200. Yeah.
Lock, stock, and
Snatch
two
is a
smoking
great
swords.
Yeah, it's two smoking wands. It's not amazing. It's fun. It's got that, not First Night. Yeah, what's the Heath Ledger one?
Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale.
Modern kind of music and feeling to it, but medieval setting. My one issue, Littlefinger's in it.
Okay.
And he's one of the Knights of the Round Table. And his name, he has this criminal name that's Goose Fat Bill, which is cool. I'm
Great
yeah,
name.
that's a cool cognate criminal name. But they don't, when he's oh, I'm a knight, they don't change it. He's not my true name's Arcturus. So he's just Sir Goose Fat Bill.
That's pretty much.
I'm not a fan of that.
Pretty straightforward.
That is a bit odd. But the reviews I kept hearing for it was it wasn't great, but it showed promise if Guy Ritchie stayed at this type of film.
Yeah, I mean, the end was a big dumb CG fight, but that was the only problem. The beginning was an awesome CG fight.
Yeah.
So but it was something I'd never seen before. It's mammoths and that's it. There were mammoths.
Should I give it a shot or no?
Yeah.
All right.
Jude Law's a good villain.
Okay. I didn't know Jude Law was the villain.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited. You might not know this about me, Eddie, but every year I watch all the films that are nominated for the Razzie Awards.
Okay.
For the worst picture.
The worst.
It is a
Catwoman.
It
Halle Berry.
is
The one I think of first every time.
Probably one of the worst movies I ever saw.
Did she win an Oscar that year? Is that the...
She won an Oscar for Monsters Ball the year before.
And then she won the
before,
Razzie.
And then she won the
does that.
Razzie the next
Then
year.
she does that. Nice.
Sandra Bullock won it in the same year
year,
because she won for All About Steve and The Blind Side in the same year. And the Razzie the night before. So in a weekend, she got both of them.
Did she go?
Yeah.
Nice.
She went and she read the script for All About Steve.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
while Wrap It Up music played.
To explain, like, it's not that bad. I will prove it to you. And she just started reading. I love the Razzie Awards. I think they're great. So every year I try to watch all the worst pictures. So I watched 50 Shades Darker.
Oh, jeez.
Man.
You think that? Because I had to watch.
You're about to say it's the best movie ever.
I had to watch 50 Shades of Grey 2 years ago because it was nominated for a Razzie. So I was like, all right, I'll watch the sequel. I think because I saw how awful the original one was, I can be like, well, this is an improvement. But like when you go from like a 0 to like a 1, I really shouldn't applaud that effort.
It's not much.
But like there are some like moments where I was like, I'm legit enjoying myself.
Well, hey, he could be more abusive right now, so baby steps.
In the first one, there's scenes where it's like, you broke into my bedroom while I was sleeping. Let's make love. And in this one, it's, you have my bank account information? That's not cool. It's like, agency. What a great thing. But there is a scene in this movie where Christian Grey crashes his helicopter into a volcano. And I could not stop laughing. It's just he's just in his helicopter. It's like, is that Mount St. Helen? What are we doing out here? It's like, it's a shortcut. Oh no, everything's gone wrong.
A shortcut through the sky? You just go the one way as the helicopter flies.
You know, I didn't think of that. That's a really good point.
It's just straight.
It's an upgrade budgeting wise. You see that? It's just
Put a volcano here.
He crashes
We'll
it.
get a heat boost.
Yeah, like a hot
Push
air
us.
balloon. We'll go up fast. But he crashes the helicopter, and then everyone just goes to his house to watch the news. It's like, oh no, we don't know where Christian is. Oh, he could be dead. And then he just walks in his house like, hey, guys, I'm fine. Why are you all here? Jeez. And then it's like, suspense over. Don't worry. There will be no excitement in this film. I'm fine. So I'm pretty sure it'll be the best of the 5 films I have to watch.
wow.
Oh, I thought you meant there was going to be 5 shades.
No.
I think another one just came out, or it's about to come out.
Yeah, 50 Shades Freed.
Does that mean you're gonna be like a first in line to get tickets?
If it gets nominated, I will definitely watch it. It ends with like a sequel hook of this guy like burning a cigarette through a picture of Christian Grey and then credits. It is everything you want out of a bad movie, I promise you.
It better be a villain with volcano powers.
He just puts volcanoes in front of him. It's
Places
his one
in
weakness.
his path.
Yeah, his one weakness is volcanoes. We'll have to just throw them in front of him. I want to throw it back down to you and ask what you read, Neddy.
Unfortunately, my book right now.
Your own book? Is it good?
Not
What's it
sounding
about?
bad.
How do you think the series is going to
I
end?
actually haven't really been reading too much. I mean, just trying to write and stuff like that, and just trying to take care of other stuff. So I kind of haven't really been reading much stuff. Whatever I read on the internet.
Yeah, I know, like, back when I used to actually try to write, anytime I tried to read, my brain would be like, you could be writing right now. Instead of reading someone else's accomplishment. Oh, that's a good thing, brain. Let's put down Hitchhiker's Guide. So I totally get that. We do accept podcasts, and we pretend they're audiobooks. So have you been listening to anything?
I'm not. Yeah, no, not much. Not much. I mean, again,
Not a
between
podcast
watching
guy?
TV, yeah, not too much. Nah, but I'll definitely start tuning in now. If that means anything, I'm sorry.
Well, just so you know, most podcasts aren't like this. They're usually not being streamed live. They're usually not in a comic book store.
No, this is the first one. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah, did you do any other podcasts to promote?
I did one. I guess he's another writer. C.G. Cooper's name is, and I did one with a group called Thirst World Problems. They were like I did the interview through Skype, so like they're like from like Ontario or something like that, you know.
They didn't make you drive 2 hours like some jerk
definitely not.
podcast
Yeah,
did?
they have to pay me for that one, but it was cool. It was a fun vibe. So
Cool. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. I'll include links and stuff. William, are you reading anything good?
I started to listen to Dan Carlin's new podcast.
The
does the
hardcore history guy? Yeah.
And I turned that right off.
What happened?
He does this thing where he gets kind of like obsessed with like gory or unpleasant details of his histories, like the World War One podcast. He gets real into just how much everybody suffered and how awful it was. And he always does this line where he's like, "Oh, it's because I like human extremes." And so he came out with one that's just about people who used to watch like executions and torture for entertainment. Yeah, it's it's like My Favorite Murder, but with more details, and he defends himself every 5 minutes. That he's like, "Oh, it's just about the extremes of human emotion." I was like, "But you're only on the one end. You could also switch it every once to do extreme happiness."
Nope.
So yeah, I was just too. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this.
It's too unpleasant.
Your snuff podcast is not for me.
Back to My Favorite Murder. It is. All right. I was listening to Ozark Whispers.
Okay.
Yes, it's a new podcast. It's a supernatural podcast, and it does something that more podcasts should do. It claims to be a like paranormal investigation podcast, but it's not. It's like it's a scripted podcast.
Okay.
But like podcasts shouldn't have to announce that because that's how entertainment works. like
I really like that. They just remove the.
Yeah, it's like, it's fake, but I'm not going to say that because why would I?
So like Night Vale, but they don't have like the author come on first. It's like
exactly
this is a real town and this is stuff happening. I like that.
And it's this real quirky kind of storytelling where he was like investigating this painting, and it turns out that the spirit in that could switch places with him, so then he was trapped in the painting. And then there's this whole part about like, I have to get out of here. I have a 3-day weekend, and I will be damned if I spend it in a painting. If I get out of here Monday night and have to go back to work on Tuesday,
I would lose my mind.
and he says everything like real matter-of-factly. It's like, granted I could have been murdered, but... So it's a really good listen, and it's only like a few episodes deep, so it's pretty new. So Ozark Whispers is
Ozark Whispers.
It's pretty solid, pretty solid. And I will throw it back down to Eddie and ask you what you're playing.
Playing? It's funny. Talk about Stranger Things. I'm big on this game called Toy Blast on my phone, but I actually got into the Stranger Things for the mobile.
Oh,
yeah, it's like an 8-bit. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Wait, what is this? I have just found out about this.
Yeah, I have it on there now still. It's completed.
We made it up. No, I don't.
No, I want to play.
It's like a NES Stranger Things game. You down on your phone. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's literally just that.
But like, well, what genre game is it? Like, do you have to collect
like
50 coins as fast as possible?
No, it's so you start as I forget which.
How about
game.
Eddie?
I believe. I'm not really sure who you start out as. I think the sheriff. You can switch off characters, but as you keep going, you start unlocking Will and Dustin and all these other guys. Like you got to go to the library. I think Dustin's in the library. It's a pretty decent game.
Key to get through this door.
Very retro 8-bit type Stranger Things. Yeah.
And guess what Punchy's power is?
Is it punching
It's
stuff?
Just a big fist icon.
Yeah, it's basically.
Yeah, I still don't know the sheriff's name. I only know him as Punchy McLawdog.
Yeah,
because that's how he solves every
the new
problem.
Hellboy.
He's Hellboy now.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, he's gonna be such a good Hellboy, not just because of the punching.
Not because he has a rock hand.
But he will have a big stone fist.
Actually, you see some of the pictures; they look pretty wild.
Yeah, he
looks pretty wild looking.
I am the biggest Hellboy fan since I was a kid. Like, I read the comics first. I like the movies, but like Ron Perlman doesn't. It's like a separate Hellboy to me.
Sure. Okay.
Like he's a cool character, but he's not the
Hellboy?
comic Hellboy.
Gotcha.
And Mike Mignola told me that was okay. Because he feels the same way. I was at Comic-Con. He's like, yeah, that's not my Hellboy, but I like him.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. But yeah, David Harbour's character in Stranger Things is he's almost exactly like Hellboy. He's this very sweet man that will get down to punching if you make him mad. So.
That's awesome. I found out a lot of exciting things
There you go.
during this segment. I'm going to have to download something on my phone soon. That sounds awesome. William, did you play anything?
Nah.
No, nothing at all.
Should have talked about the Stranger Things game. That's great.
Well, then I'm going to gush for a
Yeah,
little bit,
gush.
if you don't mind. I'm talking about all the weirdest things possible.
I had an Overwatch bit prepared, but there's too much setup. Because if you're not deep into the Overwatch world
Understandable.
and the nerfing of Mercy, then I gotta explain some stuff.
Understandable.
I'm backing out of my bit I prepared in the car.
I'm glad you tried. There was a game that was pushed in front of me that I was like, this is too stupid for me to play. But it turns out it's one of the greatest things ever. It's called Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, yep. you told
What's
me.
this?
Doki Doki Literature Club. And it's one of those things where if I talk about it too much, I will ruin the game. But it is one of the greatest experiences I've ever gone through.
And I have to look in.
It is a free game. You can download it on Steam. And you're going to feel weird playing it. So you get excited for that.
Yeah.
And you are a high school boy. And these 4 girls are in the literature club. And they all kind of dig you. And you got to figure out, who do you like the most? And you find you try to woo them by writing poems.
Aw.
I know this sounds terrible.
Nah, I like a dating sim.
And if that is all you know about this game, I want you to shut this podcast off, and I want you to go download it right now and play it. Because I played all the way through to the end, and then was really upset by the end. And then I watched one of the game theory videos explaining it, and then I just took a shower and cried. It was an emotional, just heart-wrenching journey. And if you guys are actually going to play it, that will be all that I say about it.
I'm right, so
But I will say,
should I turn this off?
I won't give away the ending. I'll make the promise that I will give away the ending next week on the show. This way, everyone's homework is to go play Doki Doki Literature Club.
Wow.
The full experience takes about 4 hours. You can fully beat this game in 4 hours. It needs more than one playthrough, kind of. And I will completely admit, for an hour, it's a terrible game. So there's a full hour of just being I don't know why I'm wasting my time with this. It takes a long time for it just to be so what do you think? And then you get to make a decision. That takes 20 minutes to get to. Super worth it. It's if you know nothing about this game, you have to play it. So that is all I will say at this time.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. You'll feel like a creep playing it. But that's fun too. It's a Doki Doki Literature Club on Steam. It's free. Go play it. So we end all of our podcasts with a game. It's time for host versus guest versus audience. This week, I left my bag all the way over there that had my prize in it.
Only someone.
It's a +2 comedy old school DVD that I found. Yeah, my bag. Thank you, producer Jesse.
A DVD of the movie Old School?
No, not as good as that.
It's not our copy.
Gee, old school.
It's our copy. Yes, it's the original
Oh, wow.
+2 comedy DVD that came in
That's
this, and it's
awful.
broken a little
The
bit.
scratches and everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's not a lot of those in existence. Yeah. Oh, look at that. You even wrote on it.
Oh, yeah, with my terrible handwriting.
And a tattoo symbol.
Yeah.
Something. There's skulls and
skull
crossbows. Nice.
Yeah. I'm an artiste.
Yes. There was a time where +2 comedy was just pirates. We were a very pirate-themed
Yeah,
comedy
that-
group.
We were
I don't know why.
Pirate heavy.
Eddie, what did you bring?
I brought actually a copy of my book. So,
Perfect.
You know.
Makes a lot of sense. Self-promotion.
So much
Very
better.
smart.
I'm gonna push that.
No,
Push it
don't.
onto the side.
We need that. Now, to play host versus guest versus audience, we need an audience member to play. But they need to put up a prize for us to win, since we put up these amazing prizes. What'd you guys bring this week?
Floor trash.
Floor trash? Floor trash?
What do you have? What's in your
Jeez.
bag? Go through it. Rummage through it. That can't be true.
Yeah. People are looking.
Now I just want you to rummage through your bag.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just go through your stuff to entertain me.
The NES or this SNES game you won last show. That makes sense.
Take that notebook. That sounds great.
And a notepad of wrestling notes. Are you putting that up? No, they're valuable wrestling secrets.
Oh, you got drugs? What you got?
Extra
Oh.
thanks, Tylenol. Excellent. Yeah. You don't have to enter. Like, I don't want to peer pressure force you to play.
I was. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
But Will might want to.
I absolutely was pressuring her.
All right, so the choice is yours. Would you like to play for the Super Nintendo game or whatever she's willing to part with in her
Which
purse?
is nothing.
The Nintendo game looks pretty wild.
All right, Super
That's
Nintendo
old
game.
school right there.
Come on up
Put that
here.
in the glass.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you had a Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
I
don't
actually
forget your
don't.
beverage.
Well, we'll find one. I'm pretty sure you can get one on eBay.
I guess it's hard to find the.
The classic?
Yeah.
Well, the classic also doesn't play
Oh, they
games.
don't have like a Super Nintendo.
Oh, you can get a Retron 5.
Great.
I think I have one of
get
those.
What?
I think I have one of those
Oh,
that plays SNES games. But
Yeah.
I think I do too. I think it's a thing that does Sega and SNES.
I had a
I think I might have
double-sided.
yours.
May have
I had
stolen
a
it.
double-sided game of a Chuck Norris one time.
Where you
You
can
are
flip over?
making-
Yeah, it
that
was a
up.
double-sided Chuck Norris game. I don't know
Because
what the
there
other
was so
side
much
was.
plot,
I-
or
I
is it
don't
just too games?
I don't know. They just too many roundhouse
Substitute
kicks or
Research
something.
Department. Look that up.
I'm telling you, I'm old school there.
Chuck Norris had a game that was 2 games. Chuck Norris fact.
Welcome to 2006.
So we're going to play a game. We haven't played this one in a while, and I like this game. We're going to play a game called Reddit Says. Eddie, are you familiar with the hit website Reddit?
Yeah, here and there.
Well, I've gone onto the Ask Reddit subreddit, and I've pulled out some questions, and then I have the top 10 most upvoted answers. So this is going to work kind of like Family Feud. You want to give me the number 1 answer to each of these questions. Everyone will get a chance to answer every question. Oh, my goodness.
There he goes.
Research department has just pulled up Chuck Norris's
great.
super kicks.
This is the most
Host producer.
That's retro.
It
That's
played
it.
Chuck Norris super kicks and artillery duel, which is
This is the most misleading thing. Because I, as a kid, would see that and be like, Chuck Norris fighting a tank. It's not. It's
greatest
a
thing.
lie.
it's the greatest thing it could be. That is awesome.
Oh, and it's called.
Well, game
Double
devs, there's an
Ender.
idea for you. Chuck
And that is
Norris
a Super
versus Tank.
Nintendo game, research
go.
department. It looked. It had its own system, Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris fact.
It only played on his tank.
All right, so let's get started with the game. So Will, you'll answer first for the first round. It was for the Atari 2600. See, I could tell it was an Atari. All right, let's go. Broken Down Dryer asks, what TV series isn't worth finishing?
Ooh.
What TV series isn't worth finishing?
You should have to tell us when these are from.
This was a top of the month from this
month. Okay.
Yeah.
Worth finishing. What does Reddit hate? I don't. It was Star Trek Voyager.
Star Trek Voyager.
I
Interesting.
only say that because I'm probably not going to finish it. I started
Gotcha.
watching it.
Noted. Eddie, what do you think?
This is a television. Is it something that's going on now?
It could be. It could be something that's already ended. It could be something that's.
I know Roseanne finished a while back, but they're bringing her back, so maybe just
Roseanne?
axe that. Yeah.
Roseanne?
just axe that now.
Yeah. They're bringing Dan back to life. It's very confusing. Laura, what do you think?
How I Met Your Mother for personal reasons.
How I Met Your Mother. Fantastic. All right.
Has the worst ending. I'm so angry. It was like 5 years ago, and I'm still mad.
Yeah. Well, if that anger stays with you, it makes sense. All right. So the top 10 answers are number 10 is Misfits. I'm not familiar with Misfits.
yeah.
It's a BBC show.
Yeah. Not. Number 9 is Once Upon a Time.
Oh.
I heard that.
Misfits is like 6 episodes. Just finish it. Sorry, go on.
I wasted 3 whole hours. Number 8 was a tie between Arrow and Arrested Development.
Reddit hates Arrow.
Yes. The Netflix season's not great.
Yeah, that's true.
Number 7 is apparently Firefly. Fox felt like it wasn't worth finishing.
Fox using an hour to upvote. What a terrible show it was. Fox was right for canceling it.
Number
That
six.
was Fox.
I know, I'm still sad.
It's still a sad voice. Number 6 is Supernatural.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Number 5 is Heroes.
Yeah.
Number 4 is How I Met Your Mother. So
Nice.
that's good.
Of course it is.
It's good for you, the angriest you've been for winning. So that's good for 7 points for Laura.
So bad.
I know. I'm sorry. Number 3 is Scrubs.
Wow.
Yeah, once you get into that
That med
school season.
Kids.
Number 2 is Dexter. Dexter gets real bad. And number 1 is The Walking Dead.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah. I gave up on that show somewhere after the prison.
I think yeah.
Yeah, most
After the-
people have.
It's
After the
still
second
happening.
season, I
It's
think
still
I'm not,
on.
I know I tuned in after they killed Glenn, and then there's just that one episode. And I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm not really too much interested anymore.
I did watch a YouTube clip of that.
Yeah, I noped out right after Hershel died.
Yeah, Herschel was a tough death, too.
It was amazing watching videos of people actually bawling, crying.
Yeah.
I'm like, jeez.
And I cried, too. I was like, this show used to be so good. Now it's just dumb. So that is 7 points for Laura.
Hooray.
Eddie and Will yet to get on the board. Eddie, we're going to start with you for this one. Lane asks, what is extremely rare but people think is very common? What is extremely rare but people think is very common?
Oh,
Oh my God.
I keep thinking of things that are the opposite.
Yeah, I had that
People
problem
think are
too.
rare,
Yeah.
like diamonds.
What is
On-
rare but people think is
On you,
common?
twerp.
Yes. What is extremely rare but people think is common? I'm going to give you guys a hint for this one because it's a bit odd. About more than half of these are events rather than objects or people. Like this thing happening is extremely rare, but people think it happens all the time.
Oh no, I'm thinking about winning the lottery, but that's not. I don't think that's answering the question.
Everybody wins the lottery.
Yeah. Something that's rare but people think is common. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
You can go with the lottery answer if you want.
I'll go with the lottery answer because
Winning the lottery?
something that I'm wishing to do hopefully one day.
Yeah. Hopefully it's pretty common. Laura, what do you think?
Spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous combustion.
Pretty good.
Quicksand.
Quicksand.
Yeah, no. Cartoons made me
Where
think that
do
was
you
going to be a
think
bigger life. That and like people offering you free drugs.
Ah, I should've gone with that.
Like that was what cartoons prepared me for.
Nope. Gotta pay.
Good answers all around. Number 10 is blimps. Do you know how many advertising blimps there are?
2.
Like 6?
17. There's 17 in the world.
Goodyear.
Yeah, Goodyear and 16 others.
It's like, that's probably the only one that I haven't thought of.
But it's weird.
Kaiser, I think, has a blimp.
I think Monster.com has one.
Oh
Of course
wow.
they do.
And Nickelodeon.
Aw, the blimp.
Number 9 is large genitalia.
Nah.
Yeah. Says that guy, and I believe him.
Nice.
Number 8 is people drugging Halloween candy.
Oh.
It's not. Apparently, that doesn't happen much. Number 7 is architects. Apparently, there's not many architects.
17.
There's 17
17
architects. They all have their
They
own
full
blimp.
They're in the blimps.
That's one of those jobs
Scouting
that, like,
property.
It's a job that sitcom dads have, so everybody thinks there's a lot of them.
That's exactly what the post says. Like,
It's
there's
like
so
Marshall
many TV
from
shows.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Yes, or How I Met Your Mother. Number 6 is shark attacks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sharkies.
Number 5 is people eating Tide Pods. Apparently, it's not an epidemic. It's just we make a big deal about the few idiots that keep doing it. Number 4 is murder in small towns. Number 3 is people who bully you at the gym. Nobody wants to talk to you at the gym. They're busy being at the gym. Number 2 is people being resuscitated with CPR. Apparently
It's rare, but
apparently it's only like 15% of the time.
Yeah, and often your sternum is broken.
Yeah, it's not. It helps, but not great. And number 1, and I thought this was very interesting. Women's water breaking during pregnancy. Because that is every sitcom.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh God, my water just broke. It doesn't break 95% of the time.
oh wow. So that's for just more emotional impact, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
big
it's
argument and
Tough to
all right,
fit
we got-
like 5 hours of calling the hospital. I think it's coming, maybe not.
It's a 22-minute show. Come
Yeah.
on. Water's broken. Baby here.
Getting the bag together.
Yeah.
Driving halfway to the hospital, turning around.
Here's your baby. It already has hair.
it's coming out.
And is clean.
yeah, pretty much.
Came out perfectly clean. Who knew?
And appears to be 3 months old.
Yeah, who knew? It's a healthy baby. So Lars, the only one on the board with 7 points, and we're going to start with Lars for our final question. 70s Kid asks, what is something that most people aren't afraid of, but is actually really dangerous? What is something most people aren't afraid of, but is actually really dangerous?
Tide Pod.
I want to go like car related, like being in a car.
Yeah, I mean,
Just being near a vehicle.
Well, like
yeah, well, no, in
it's a
terms
common
of
way to
deaths,
die.
yeah.
But like most people don't have like a phobia of being in the car or driving the car.
So what would you say your guess is? Just
I'm gonna say driving the car
driving a car. Okay.
or driving a car.
Not the one that the planet has. Driving the car.
One of the 17
17.
cars. Callbacks.
No, it doesn't work if you say callback.
Yeah. You just do them. You don't say them. It's like freeze frame. Will, what's something that people aren't afraid of but is really dangerous?
Falling things.
Gravity?
Yes. Like
Gravity.
Stuff falling on your head.
All right.
Dangerous.
Meteorites. Got it.
Anvils.
Like pianos,
Acme.
anvils, safes.
Yes.
Coyotes.
Weights that say 16 tons exactly. All right. That's fine. Eddie?
Just repeat the question. Let me just.
What's something that most people aren't afraid of but is actually really dangerous?
Hitchhiking.
Hitchhiking.
Should've
That's a good
said
one.
Infections.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Something that
should
made
change.
sense would have been
I
a
don't
real
know.
good choice.
Stuff falls on people
When?
all the time.
From Blimps?
Yeah, they're just dropping stuff out.
When you're chasing the Roadrunner.
It happens.
It all ties in together, you know.
Number 10 is polar bears because they are very cute and apparently the most lethal of bears.
Nah.
Well, apparently there's an old saying that says, when dealing with bears, if it's black, attack. If it's brown, lay down. And if it's white, good night.
Wow.
Sidebar.
No, you don't attack any bears.
You don't run into a lot of polar bears in, suburban New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, if you've run into a polar bear, you're probably in a pretty bad situation
You are
as it
drunk
is.
at the zoo and in trouble.
Number 9 is the spring on garage doors. Apparently, they are very deadly because people are like, I can fix this. And then when they unscrew it, they spring out and kill you.
Boom.
Sit to the
Yeah.
chest
Wow.
like Scorpion.
Yeah, exactly. Number 8 is unprotected sex. Number 7 is carbon monoxide.
No, I'm
Silent killer.
definitely afraid of that.
Yeah.
Silent killer.
It is. People know, I think, but it still made number 7 on the list. Number 6 is bison.
I mean,
Jeez.
I saw those videos.
Yeah.
Another thing I don't think about that much in suburban New Jersey. The bison threat.
Bison threat.
Again, drunk at the zoo is when this comes up.
Number 5 is water. Just water.
Yeah, well,
You drown in it, and it's
2 inches.
well, yeah. People were saying that how little water is needed to kill you, and also how heavy water is, and how remorseless it is. There was a lot of talk about it. It's like water doesn't care if it sucks you down and drowns you. It's like, all right. Number 4 is crossing the street, which is different from driving a car. If you
Yeah.
just said being
Exact
near cars, you
opposite.
would have
I don't
gotten
care.
that one. Number 3 is mixing Tylenol and alcohol.
No, why would you do that?
Yeah, you have half of it in your purse.
She has the.
Oh, really?
Is it? Prove it.
Look, whenever I
Whole
get
bottle of which? Do both.
when I get drunk, I throw a lot of Tylenol at people, and they do not like it. So it seems very dangerous. I drop it off of Blimps. Number 2 is driving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's good for 9 points for Laura.
Got slammed.
And number 1 is things falling from Blimps. Who knew? Now, number 1 is
Don't
not
do that to me.
is not getting enough sleep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Why is that?
That wiped
What
the
is-
smile off everyone's face up here.
What's gonna happen?
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
There, like you can have delusions,
They
like
say.
like
Sleep
hallucinations,
deprivation and stuff, yeah,
like
you start
like you'll think
hallucinating.
you're doing a podcast.
Oh, no!
when
Oh,
you're
I gotta
not.
get more sleep. I gotta just take a lot more Tylenol and alcohol. Since it's so
That's right out.
it's so healthy for you, we just found out.
Medical research department says that's fine.
I know. I have trouble sleeping. I'm worried about it so much. But that
I get
means
like 6 hours a night.
6 hours. That's it.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's like you're juggling chainsaws, man. Especially don't do that if you've only had 6 hours sleep. Very dangerous. That means with 16 points, Laura is our winner.
Here
Hooray!
you go. Take this.
I
Take
think we didn't
it.
get
We
anything.
already have one of these.
We didn't get anything.
No.
Yeah, we got crushed.
Thank you so much for coming up here, Laura, and adding to your prize pile.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Eddie, we have to get out of here. Anything you would like to plug?
No, just basically just trying to still promote the book. So Hispanicus, The Apostate Life of Antonio Pintero. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, direct through my publisher, printhousebooks.com. And appreciate you guys for having me out here, you know.
Absolutely.
Do you have a Twitter or anything?
At Eddie C. Author on Twitter. Unfortunately, that's the only social media right now I'm on. But, you know, I think it's hopefully it's sufficient. Continue to try and keep getting the word out.
Excellent. Will, anything to add as I desperately try to pull up next week's guest?
Yeah. I decided that every year on October 1st, I get one more year retro. No more using the O word.
I'm getting more retro, more trendy. Be sure to give us 5 stars on iTunes, 5 stars on Stitcher. Vote for us on podcastland.com. Make us the podcast of the month. We were number 17 last month, so keep voting because it's a new month. And please make us number 1. Also, you can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Wildfire Radio. You can like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And you can, of course, watch live on Twitch and join us in the chat. Upcoming shows include next week is Brian James, the author of Milner. Then on the
You
5th...
saying Mjolnir wrong?
Mew Mew?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Cool.
The 15th is to be announced. And then on the 22nd from Rock Solid Productions and the Cape May Comedy Festival, Dan Sinclair will be on the show. So be sure to tune in for that one. Thank you to Net Neutrality for existing and making this show possible. This is the Plus 2 Comedy Podcast. Thank you guys so much.
Good night.
Sign language for applause.